Hey, what's up guys, TBL here, and I just wanted to bring you a quick video, kind of to rant maybe a little bit, and just talk about something that's been on my mind as of late. This video probably won't be too long, just a couple minutes, for me to get a couple of thoughts out to you guys. I don't usually engage in too much video game punditry, as it were, but it's something I want to get into a little bit more, and I guess this is going to be my first attempt at doing that. So let's dive on into it. The gameplay you're going to be seeing here is a little bit of Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Had a couple of matches on there, really fun time. But it's mostly just there to serve as something for you guys to look at while I get all these thoughts out of my head. And what I really wanted to talk about today was the state and the future of the video game industry. Heavy topic, I know, right? But here we are, knee-deep in 2015, we've got E3 right around the corner, and I'm super excited for that. And I was thinking about some of the games that came out last year, in 2014, and just the state in which they were released. It seems to be an all too common practice with a lot of the AAA developers these days to release a game that's unfinished, it's got all kinds of bugs, and then drop a lot of stuff on you on day one. We've got companies pushing out day one DLC for crying out loud, and I always found that to be absolutely ridiculous. Just looking back into the recent releases, Assassin's Creed is pretty guilty of doing this. Evolve had a lot of day one DLC. And between all of that, the major push for pre-order bonuses, console exclusive content, and again, just the general state in which some of these games are released, it really makes me kind of worry for where the gaming industry is heading. I think back to yesteryear, a long time ago, to say even back in the N64 PlayStation era, where you had a cartridge, there was no DLC or anything of that sort. What you got on that cart was the full game, the full experience. You got yourself a completed, generally well-tested game that brought you hours upon hours of fun. And then you look at some of these games that have come out nowadays, and there's a massive pre-order push, and in more than a few examples, games have come out in unfinished forms, generally missing core content. A lot of that content is now locked behind paywalls. We've got day one DLC, which sometimes amounts to the price of another full game. Some games come out with $30, $40, $50, $60 of day one DLC. All of that is content that could have and probably should have been in the base game. But instead, it's included as an additional purchase that's meant to push up that price margin to make back some of that money that's spent on some of these games' absolutely ludicrous budgets. And honestly, that's not a great deal for the consumer. And what makes it even worse is when some of these AAA games come out with all of this stuff, all of this extra fluff and price added in, and then those games don't even work right. Oh, come on now, I know you guys know what I'm talking about here. 2014, we saw a lot of games with this issue. I mean, Call of Duty, you don't get to play zombies on time unless you pre-order. And if you're on a PlayStation, even then you don't get to play it as early as the Xbox because of that content, that console exclusivity thing they've got going on. Battlefield 4, you gotta pre-order to get the premium pack to get all the DLC and the weapon boost and all that crap. Assassin's Creed Unity came out, had a ton of bugs, it was completely unfinished, and has a ton of DLC piled right on top of it. And then of course you've got games that simply don't live up to the hype or meet the goals that were really promised in those games' inception. Stuff like Watch Dogs, stuff like The Order 1886, where they're not intrinsically bad games, but they're nowhere near what was promised. And we as consumers and gamers keep wondering how all these AAA games suck so bad when they come out, and how they expect us to spend so much money on them. But that's just it. We do. We pre-order them, we buy the DLC, we buy that expansion pack, we buy that premium pass. Just playing and hoping that maybe it'll get better with time. And sometimes it just doesn't. Maybe instead of just buying into the manufactured PR hype for these games, we should take a step back and appreciate some of the companies that actually put some work into their stuff, because believe me, not all gaming companies are bad. There's actually quite a few really good ones. And taking a stand here, rather than pre-ordering the next Call of Duty, or picking up the next big DLC pack for whatever game is out there, we reward some of the companies that are actually putting some time and effort into their game before releasing it. And I hate to sound biased here, you guys know I'm a Nintendo guy, but I have to say Nintendo is probably at the forefront of that. Every game that they release is full, it's well tested, and it plays well. It's a fun game. Super Smash Bros. Right here is an excellent game. Mario Kart 8 is an excellent, fully featured and fun game right out the box. And of course, there are other companies. I think probably one of the biggest video game success stories right now is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. You know, for those of you who haven't played it, The Witcher is a single-player action fantasy RPG, and it is an absolute blast to play. It's fun, it's well fleshed out, it's got a great story, the visuals are fantastic, the voice acting is fantastic. This is a AAA game. And it didn't pressure the pre-order bonus. It didn't offer some kind of crazy expansion pass for $50. There's 16 pieces of DLC for this game, and they're all free. CD Projekt Red did an absolutely fantastic job with this game. They released a fully functional, fun, and expansive game. And they did it without all of the shameless money grabs and paywalls that are all too prevalent, in my opinion, in the gaming industry today. And really, I think that's something to be celebrated. And I honestly hope that the success of Nintendo's games and titles like The Witcher 3 mark a turn in the gaming industry. And I honestly hope it goes to show some of these gaming producers that they don't have to release a game every single year. That they can and should give their developers a little bit of time to put some heart and soul into their games and make sure that when they're released in a state that's playable and acceptable to everyone. We've already seen one video games crash here, and it was started by a market flooded with too many games that weren't worth anyone's time. And over the past couple of years, what we've been seeing is AAA games that are far too hyped, way too underdeveloped, and are asking you, the consumer, to pay way too much for additional content. But again, with games like The Witcher 3, I see a lot of hope for the industry. Because as a gamer, I just want to play some good games. And that is where I'm going to leave you guys today. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions about the state of the gaming industry as it is today in the comments section below. Looking forward to reading those. I think I'm going to do more of these. It's nice to just get the thoughts out. But alright, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, I am the Black Link. You guys stay frosty.